rhythm workshop, and we're going to be dealing with the hemiola, dealing with 6/8 and 3/4, filling 3 beats and 2 beats and dividing them differently. So it's a topic that came up in the questions of the last rhythm workshop, and I thought we would deal with it today. So I'm just going to chat for a little while we get people in. I will admit that today was a very busy day, full of lots of different things, and I did not get to send out the email to the live list, so I do apologize for that. But yes, classicalguitarcorner.com/live is a particular email list that gets notified about these live events when they do go live, except for this one because I wasn't on top of it. So I do apologize for that. But I hope that I hope that some people still come in. Hey, Michelangelo, Lucien, great to have you. Thank you so much for saying hello and coming in. And yes, yeah, Brent, another big topic, and yes, the challenge will be to, if I can cover this topic successfully, but I think it's an interesting one and a fun one that does shed light onto a lot of the classical guitar repertoire, uses the hemiola and the rhythmic joy of mixing 6/8 and 3/4 and all these kinds of things. Thank you, James. Thank you for saying that you're hearing me loud and clear. That's always a little bit of a concern that can't be heard or seen on these things, so I appreciate you telling me. Thank you. Johanna's great to have you here. So sounds like at least some people are still finding the live feed, even though I forgot to send out the email. But David's here and Rick is here. Hi, Rick. I'm just talking with Bruce about camera selection and microphones and all that jazz. Martin. Oh, well, Martin, yes, you were the one who asked about the hemiola. So you get the prize for suggesting this topic. Dave. Hi, Dave. And next live stream, which is going to be on Thursday, I'm going to bring on Nicoletta Todesco, who many of you already know, but I haven't had Nikki on the podcast to sort of have her share her story, her background, being from Venice, Italy, and having that different view on the educational process on classical guitar. So I'm looking forward to inviting Nikki onto the podcast here on Thursday, and she'll be able to share her story, which I think it's about a little overdue, let's say, to share her story with the CGC community. Great to have everyone here. Thank you. So today is going to be another whiteboard session. And we're going to see if we can tackle this topic of rhythm. Aaron, hi from Portland. Oh, Facebook told you I was going live. Great. Martha, hello Martha from St. Louis. Great to have you with us again. Lucien, oh, thank you, Lucien. I'm glad you look forward to them. I was talking with, I'm not sure who I was talking with, probably Nikki this morning about continuing. We've extended a lot of different things over the last couple of months, these live sessions being one of them, but I also enjoy them. I sometimes feel I'm running out of things to talk about, but I do very much enjoy them too, so I hope to keep them going in some form, even as we all become a bit more mobile, getting around in the Northern Hemisphere's summer. Yeah, Carrie, it will be good to hear Nikki's story. Yes, I think we'll get a lot of insight and probably some surprises. There's some studies and stories and journeys that I know about from Nikki, but I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. So, not sure if we're going to get our normal crowd. As I said, I forgot to send out the email, but no, I didn't forget. Sorry, I just ran out of time. But shall we embark on a most noble adventure? Look, I'm going to raise this contraption here. It's going to show the whiteboard. So today we're going to be talking about a few different things, hopefully have some fun little exercises we can do. But we're going to talk about more or less the hemiola. We're going to talk about the 6/8 and the 3/4 time signature. And we're also going to talk about playing triplets over duplets. So let's start by, this is my Dictionary of Music, Harvard Dictionary of Music. Let's start by just reading what the definition of is here of the hemiola. And this is one of my favorite words as well. Hemiola, or in Latin sesquialtera, which is what is often called in South America as well. The ratio 3:2. In terms of pitch, it is the ratio of lengths of two strings that sound together a perfect fifth. And in terms of rhythm, which is what we're going to be dealing with, it refers to the use of three notes of equal value in the time normally occupied by two notes of equal value. Add a little bit of history there. But that's the crux of it. So let's see how we can go here. Bring the whiteboard in. High-tech whiteboard. Oh, you can still see me, that's great. Okay, so just to visually give us an idea of what we were just talking about, we have this line here can represent a duration, okay, a span of time. And we can divide this in all sorts of ways. But in our conversation here, we're going to be talking about dividing it into either 2 or 3 spans, right? 1, 2, 3. But it's the same. Where's my eraser? This is going to be very useful. It's going to be the same length of time, the same duration. Now, maybe another way to think of it, and one that we often come into, is this span. And let's say we're going to be, well, yeah. Let's start off with 3/4. If we're going to divide the time signature of 3/4, we've got 1 beat here, 1 beat here, 1 beat here, right? There's 3 equal divisions there of that span of time. And if we were to subdivide with eighth notes, we'd be looking at divisions of this, like 1 and, 2 and, 3 and. So that would look like this grouping, and this grouping, right? Now, you may have come across the idea that 3/4 and 6/8 as time signatures are very much related, and they are. So we have 6/8, right? The reason they're related is they take up exactly the same span of time, but they partition it differently. In 6/8, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can see here that on the top with our 3/4 division, we've got 3 divisions of that time span. And here with 6/8, we have 2 divisions of that time span. And that is where we get this wonderful interplay of rhythms. We can do a lot with these different divisions at the same time. We can mix them up, we can change accents, we can layer them over one another. But in its most basic sense, we want to talk about simple time signatures and compound time signatures. A simple time signature, let's just jump to 6/4, takes a beat, a quarter note in this particular example, and divides it into 2, right? So when you're looking at time signatures, you have 2 pieces of information, right? This is a time signature here. The top number tells you how many beats there are in a bar, right? There are 2 beats in this bar. And the bottom number tells you how many of those. Oh, sorry, not how many. That's the top number is how many, and the bottom number is what kind of beat it is. So 2/4 is 2 quarter notes. 3/4 is 3 quarter notes, right? 4/4, 4 quarter notes. Now each of these beats being quarter notes can be divided into 2 eighth notes, right? Divisible by 2. And that is the signaling factor of a simple time signature. The beat is divisible by 2. If we take the time signatures of 3/8, 6/8, 9/8, and 12/8, for instance, we're saying there are 3 eighth notes in the time signature of 3/8, right? 3 eighth notes. But we talk about it having a single pulse of a dotted quarter note there. So that one dotted quarter note is divisible by 3. Same goes for 6/8, same goes for 9/8, etc. We have a larger pulse that is divisible by 3. These are called compound time signatures. Compound time signatures have pulses that are divisible by 3. What we have heard many times in music, and it's very rhythmic and enjoyable, is where we can play around with these divisions. And this is where we get into the hemiola. So, if we take 3/4, for example, we can have our 3 quarter notes. And that spans this duration of time. Here we have the same duration of time, but instead of 3/4, we're going to divide it into 6/8. And we're going to get 2 beats there of a dotted quarter note each. So we get 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. This is a hemiola. This can be referred to as a horizontal hemiola because it's linear, it's in line, we're not overlapping things yet. One way to count this out to make it a little easier is to subdivide what we talked about last time, right? So we can think of, well, we can just basically sorry, I'm second guessing myself. We can just basically 1 and 2 and 3 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Yeah, so we can count out the beats with the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we go 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So maybe you can clap along with me to start getting this feeling. And what we really use to keep ourselves steady is this subdivision of the eighth notes. So we've got we've got the running eighth notes, and sometimes it's easier on a faster one. And we'll do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So to start off with, I'll be clapping and singing, and I want you to clap these beats. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll give you a bar for nothing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? So when you're clapping, it should sound like this. That's a nice hemiola there. We can just as easily reverse. All right? We can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2 and 3. Right? So we use that same subdivision to keep us nice and steady. Let's just for the sake of clarity, let's do nice and slow version. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. I'll give you 2 bars for nothing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Now, what can be really fun with this is when we start to take these hemiolas and layer them over the top of each other. Dun, 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 dun. This is where we start to get these cross rhythms where they overlap and create, that's often used in dance music. I mean, you can find it in all sorts of musics, but I think the most common times we see it in classical guitar is in South American music, the music of Antonio Lauro. You're going to find it in some Argentinian music, a lot of folk music from Bolivia, from Colombia, from Peru, heavily rely on these rhythms. So, if we had our 3 quarter notes there, and underneath I'm going to write out 6, 8, right? So it's going to be 3, 4, and 6, 8. The important part of this is the beaming here of 6, 8 infers a little bit of an accent on the first of each of those groupings. Because as we'll talk about it in a little bit, we can actually recreate this effect purely with accents. We don't necessarily need to change the time signature. So, I'm not sure if this will work because I'm broadcasting to you and you can hear me and I can't hear you, but I think this will work, right? So let's first go through our rhythms. We're going to do, just for now, the 6, 8. It's going to sound like this. Right? So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And as we talked about before, that's outlining these 2 big pulses, which dividing into 3, that means it's a compound time signature. So one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now if we were to play the top line, it's pretty straightforward. It's just 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. But when we start overlaying these rhythms, it becomes really interesting. So I need to be really in time if I can be, but you can clap along with me, all right? I would like you to clap the 6, 8 rhythm with me. What's going to happen is I'm going to start breaking in to the 3, 4 rhythm, and you have to stay steady with the 6, 8. And we're going to find this really cool moment in the middle here where things feel a bit out of line, but still right in the pocket, right? So let's clap together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sometimes using the body to feel the pulse helps keep it steady. Keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? So you maybe got a little bit of a cool cross rhythm there as we got this sesquialtero, as we got this hemiola laying over one another. Now, to make it even more interesting, we can actually add in the subdivisions of 3, 4. So the 8th notes are exactly aligned, no difference, right? You can see the groupings are different, and that grouping makes all the difference. So here in 3, 4, we're going to go accent, accent, accent. They're going to outline beats 1, 2, and 3. And here in 6, 8, we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we should actually be exactly lined up with our 8th notes, but the accents are going to create this rhythm. Okay, so same thing again, you stay in 6/8 and I'm going to start breaking into 3/4 every now and then. If you feel really confident, maybe you can chop and change as well, and it might create some interesting rhythms. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here I go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? It's a really cool thing, and let me just sort of, you know, it gives a little bit of an unbalanced feel, right? And that unbalanced feel, I'm going to go back to just quarter notes. That unbalanced feel lets us kind of, like, where the dance comes from, you know, because there's our 3/4. 1, 2, 3, 1. There's a 6/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? It's really cool. Right? It's very, very cool. Now, I do want to show you, I don't have that many instances of a hemiola in our repertoire book, but I do want to just get there's a very sneaky one that I found. All right? Very sneaky indeed. So this is, sorry, it's my edition with all sorts of typo type things. Anyway, this is study number 3 by Fernando Sol. Now, what I want to bring your attention to is this passage here. Look, technology, ready? Zoom in. Little things make me happy. Now it's not even focusing. Anyway, you get the idea. So this here, right? You can see this whole piece is in 6/8. It's too close. It's not. It doesn't want to focus. The whole piece is in 6/8, which is that a compound or a simple time signature? It's compound, because as we can see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the groupings, so there's 2 big pulses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, what's happening down here is we can see the groupings, yes, 1, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, absolutely. But have a listen to it. This is very sneaky on behalf of Mr. Fernando Sol. I'm going to play from back here. Right, very much in 6/8. However, when we look at the way this is written, it's grouped in 6/8, but listen, because the natural accents that come out in this passage don't feel like 6/8. Right? It's kind of a little janky, and the fact that this F sharp is higher than the A is higher and the D is higher starts to move out of the time signature a little bit. We could, as best we can, play this in 6/8, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. But I think Fernando Sol was actually outlining a hemiola here, right? So this is 1, boom. Then the D, 2, F sharp, 3, A, 1, 2, and then it sort of changes back to 6/8. But look at these, we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and let's just for argument's sake, let's say 3, okay? So if we tend to accent those notes, yes, they're not marked in as accents, but we can play with this a little bit. So I'm going to play from here, and I'm going to play it 6/8 first off, right? Very much accenting 1 and 4, 1 and 4 here, and 6/8, no question. However, let me go with the natural tendency of this piece and accent these notes that are kind of cool, right? It's sort of beep, bop, beep, bop, beep. It's 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and to get the full effect of it, you actually need to run into it. So set up that 6/8 first. So back at 26. So it's a really funky little passage. It's not. I don't think you need to overtly accent it like I'm doing to be make an example of it, but I think it adds just a little bit of rhythmic tension, if you will. See, if he wanted to really keep this as 6/8, maybe he would have written this. Something like that. Something like that. There's a bit more, the shape of the phrase actually is a bit more conducive to 6/8. But I think that's a really nice, subtle use of the hemiola there. And now one last thing I want to talk about is triplets, right? So triplets over duplets tie in to this world quite well. And you would think that figuring out a triplet, I used to think that figuring out a triplet is quite difficult and sort of no man's land, so to speak, where it's just a bit of guesswork. I used to just guess at triplets. But if we think about what we just talked about in terms of the same duration of time just being split up either into 3 or into 2, it's very much the same idea, right? So we'll take one beat, right? And there's our triplet. Oops. No, sorry. There you go. That's right. I went to my zoomed out place. Oh no. Okay, there it is. Oh, I got to see a picture of Vita. Hold on. Sorry. We're experiencing technical difficulties. Okay. That was very dramatic. Okay, let me see if I can get that back. There we go. Sorry. There we go. Okay. Okay, so we've got, oh, look, I made a little dent on my whiteboard. There's our triplet that spans a quarter note. And then we might have over the top of a duplet, right? So that's just 2 eighth notes then that divide that. So the beat here is divided into 2, and here it's divided into 3. Now, that rhythm, this relationship in the middle often sort of throws people. But if we think about it, really simple math, right? 3 times 2 equals 6, okay? Yeah. Yes, sorry, I probably didn't need to write that out. But if we plot this out on a graph then, it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got this note here, right? And then the next one here. And these 3 go there, there, and there. So if we squashed this rhythm together, we would get, I don't know if this is the best way of showing it. Let me just write it out. If you squash that rhythm together, it's just this. That's all it is. Right? It's just math. You take the top and times it by the bottom, and you're going to get all the partitions you need. The same thing if you wanted to have 4 over 3 or 3 over 4. You get the same thing. It's going to be divisions of 12, and if you slow it down enough, you can figure it all out. If you really want to, if you want me to do 3 over 4, I can show you 3 over 4. Now, what's happening here is that the challenge is that it's not on one string, right? It's usually between 2 different strings. So let's play a little game. I want you to find 2 different sounds, right? One sound is going to be the top triplet, and one sound is going to be the bottom duplet. So maybe this would be, I'm tapping my pen on the table, and maybe my hand on the chair here might be the other sound, right? And what we're aiming for is That's our triplet over duplet. And it's very mathematical. If we think that's the rhythm squashed together, and all we need to do is separate it. So the top line is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and the bottom line is 1. Right? Let's try that first before I give you a little mnemonic device. So here we go. I'll give you a count in of 4 and we'll come in on 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. I would have loved to have heard the cacophony of sounds that came out across the world right then. Now, here we go. There's a number of different ways to do this, but this is the one that I was first taught, and I shall pass it on to you. 4. Funny. Frogs. Think of those words and hear this. 4 funny frogs. 4 funny frogs. Right? So that, if you use that, it's actually going to be really nice to partition it. Play around with this and you'll find that it's really going to help you shore up your triplets in general and give you a really nice sense of where to place duplets underneath, should you ever come across that. So a really good thing to practice is going between groupings of 3 to 2. And then doing them together and cancelling one in and one out, so like this. All right, so play around with that division and remember it being in 6. Now, is anyone interested in 3 over 4? It's a fun one. If I get a yes in the comments, then I will show you 3 over 4. Although I seriously doubt that we will actually come across. I don't think I've ever seen it in classical guitar music, but it kind of proves this mathematical concept. All right, Cindy said sure, so why not? So again, if we want to figure out these complex rhythms, we just go 3 over 4 equals 12, right? Easy. So, and what I'm talking about is the equivalent of this. Triplet over, is this sort of right? I'm not sure if I'm aligning them correctly. Over, it doesn't look right. I need to do this. Yeah. A triplet over 4/16 notes, right? So again, if we think of 4 times 3, 12. Now we need 12 partitions. So I'm wondering if we should do the numbers instead of the names. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm more counting them out more or less because I didn't want to run out of space. Okay, so the top line, we want to have groupings of 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4, so we've got a beat on 1, a beat on 5, a beat on 9. Easy. Now 12 divided by 4 is 3, so we've got a beat on, we should do this with another color. Here we go. Yoink. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if we do this slow enough, we will get the right rhythm. Let me just, to be very clear what's going on here. And I have a mnemonic device. Actually, Evita told me this one. Right? So now let's say, right, that's going to be that's the beat that's going to carry us through the numbers. And all I'm asking you to do, I'll ask you to do the triplet, okay? You're going to clap on 1, on 5, and on 9. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? And now I'm trying to find a good sound. I guess I'll just use the chair. I am going to make a sound on my chair on 1, 4, 7, and 10. All right? I'll give you 12 for nothing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So in a sense, what we've done is subdivision again. We've broken it down to the smallest common denominator and we've partitioned it out. Now at speed, we could, if I was in a classroom with you, I've done this with kids. I used to do a lot of outreach here in New York City in the different boroughs, and you can do this and you just basically speed it up and you get the rhythm. But I'll show you the mnemonic device and you can play around with this at home. It's cook the uncooked chicken, right? And it sounds like this. Can you hear them? Cook the uncooked chicken. Cook the uncooked chicken. So a bit of fun there to play around. I think even if it's not that practical, it's going to be fun to just actually get used to partitioning, be very even with your subdivision. So Brent said he was taught, I can do the tango. I can do the tango. I can do the tango. Very cool. So this kind of music, I haven't got too much prepared right now. Actually, I know a piece that has hemiolas all over the place. This is a little piece, a really great piece called Joropo. It's a dance from Argentina, from the Pampas, I think. And we've got it's going between 6, 8, 3, 4. There's the hemiola. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. And then there's a section later that goes. And that's the crossing over there of that rhythm. It's not as written out as sort of the academic examples we were talking about, but they're starting to stack up. Like they really you can do all sorts of fun things. So if you're at all interested in composition or writing your own things, I would highly suggest playing around with these rhythms. There are other great examples of, I want to live in America. Da 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 da. That's probably the most famous example of a horizontal hemiola there. So we talked about 6, 8, 3, 4 time signature, their relationship, the fact they have the same duration but different partitions of the beat. One is simple, 3, 4, and one is a compound time signature. We talked about the hemiola, both horizontal next to each other and stacked, which is then leads us into triplets over duplets, which is identical to stacking those there's triplets over duplets. Sorry, I just was distracted. Insidia said, came for a music lesson, left with a mathematics degree. Yes, math and music are very, very much aligned. And, as probably many of you have heard about Pythagoras and, triangles, lengths, vibrations, math is very much intertwined with all of this. So, so hopefully that was of interest. I think it's a really fun thing to play around with. You can start extending this idea where you've got just a really steady partition of, let's say, eighth notes. And you can start doing accents, and you can come up with some really, really interesting things. You know, in 4/4, the time signature of 4/4, you can get the milonga rhythm. I'm just accenting different things. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2. If you really want to hear a masterclass in accents, take half an hour and go and listen to The Rite of Spring by Stravinsky, because all of that is very much accents. And he does some amazing things in that. Great. Well, if does anyone have any questions, we sort of wrapped up at a very civilized time within 40 minutes. So Les asks, does any of this get confused with 5/4/7/8? Well, doesn't have to be. Let's break that down. It's a great question, Les. Thank you. Great. I have my whiteboard. Okay. So we talked about before what a time signature tells us. Let's write it out. Time signature, right? The top number, so what did you say? You said 5/4. The top number says 5. That is how many beats. And the bottom number is 4. And that's what type of beat, right? And that 4 signifies, in sort of our fractional musical language, a quarter note. So there are 5 quarter notes. Now, what starts to come into question is, where do we have our accents? You know, in 4/4 we often go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But having said that, if you asked a jazz musician, they would say no, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So in fact, accents can move around quite a lot. It does change the feel of the music, but they're not locked in. So the time signature 5/4 you could start grouping as 3 plus 2, or you could think of it as 2 plus 3, or maybe even 2 plus 2 plus 1. You know, it all works. 7/8, same thing. You know, once you understand this instruction of what a time signature actually means, you can figure out pretty much anything. I've seen some pretty oops, what happened there? I've seen some pretty bizarre time signatures, including halves and things. But 7/8, right? 7, how many? And 8, eighths notes. Now again, it just comes down to grouping, because right? So what are the different ways we could group this? I can think of 3 very obvious ones. And then you could think of different permutations above that, right? So we've got 3, 3, 1. We've got 3, 4, or we've got 4, 3. And they all sound a bit different. 2, 2, 1. Dee da dee da da dee da dee da da dee da dee da 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 dee da da. 3 plus 4. Dee da da dee da 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 dee da da dee da da da. Or 4 plus 3. Dee da da dee da da dee da da dee da. Or you could do 3 and then 2 and 2, like that. Dee da da dee da dee da dee da da dee da dee da. If you want to listen to some very cool music, looks like smiley faces. If you want to hear some very cool music that uses a lot of time signatures like 5/8, 7/8, etc., Balkan music. If you like any music from the Balkans, it's phenomenal. But I'm also trying to think. Somebody help me out. I'm drawing a blank on the name. Dusan Bogdanovic is a wonderful composer and often uses these time signatures. And yes, Martin sort of said hemiolas. Who knew, like compass in flamenco music? Yes, the compass in flamenco music takes 12, the partitions of 12, and divides it up differently to create the different rhythms. So, you know, if you're a composer, I often, whenever I work with someone on composition, not that I'm a particular specialist, but I do start from a place of restriction, in that I say, okay, so for instance, you could just start with one note, C, but then I give you free rein on the rhythm. Like, imagine all the different things you could do. I mean, think of all the things that a drummer can do, you know? So probably even more restrictive than that. But these time signatures, these hemiolas, they're going to bring so much into your playing as a musician. Does anyone have any other questions? Otherwise, we might wrap it up. Let me have a look back and see what's going on in the comments. I think someone asked about the piece I was playing. The one when I was showing 6/8 over 3/4, I was just making it up. It's just a nice 1, 2, 3, nice walking bass line with some. Carrie said she's going to be tapping and singing 4 funny frogs for the rest of the evening. That's the thing. I talked about this in the first rhythmic workshop. A lot of it is about pattern recognition. So once you get these patterns, once you get those, they can actually become very easy. One nice way to do it is if you're out walking the dog, walking yourself. If you walk at a nice steady pace, andante, then you can do all sorts of rhythms with the rest of your body, You can set clave rhythms up, you can get a whole conga line going. But it's a really nice time just to keep that steady pulse and start playing around with it. So Jacques said, enjoyed the lesson, needs time to let it sink in. Yeah, I would say the best thing to play around with first would be that horizontal hemiola. So taking just straight eighth notes, 3, 4, and 6 eighth notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then just grouping them. So grouping them in threes, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and staying there for a while, and then grouping them in sixes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then start flipping them around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. Can't help but hear Bernstein. So, and I think someone said, Andrew said, well done for not swearing. Was that when the camera dropped? Probably. Yeah, thanks, Brent. Yeah, sesquialtera. Yeah, exactly. I love that. Six, qui, altera. I'm trying to think of what the origins of those were. Anyway, I do remember reading somewhere hemiola means half and whole. So, I think that makes sense. Anyway. All right, well, thanks everyone. I'm glad you found that interesting. As I said, in the next live session, which is this coming Thursday at 4 p.m., we will have Nicoletta Todesco, and she can talk about her education in Italy and also some experiences in Mexico, musicology, ethnomusicology, and I'd be interested in hearing about some of the journeys in between. So please do join me and Nikki. It'd be great to, and I'm going to get that on the podcast as well. So we're going to try and do the audio kind of like I did with Stephanie Jones. Great. Thanks, Carlos. Thanks, James. Hope you all had a good weekend. Some of you had long weekends here in the United States. It was beautiful weather. Yeah. So we went up on the roof, had some wine. It was nice. Great. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for saying thanks. And yeah, I'll see you all soon. Martin was the one who asked about the hemiolas, so I'm glad you enjoyed that. All right, everyone. Well, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.